Does your Excel data look like this? Just a boring page of black and white cells and text? If so, you're not even beginning to tap into the power of Excel. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your boring static blocks of data into powerful dynamic Excel tables. And not only do they look good, because Excel gives you a bunch of pre-made color schemes and design options to choose from, you can also find and remove duplicate data instantly, easily add new rows and columns of data, create a dynamic total column and total row that automatically recalculates if you make changes to your data, easily sort and filter your table with built-in tools, and use slices to quickly filter your data with just the click of a mouse button. And because tables are the foundation of pivot tables in Excel, once you've mastered tables, be sure to check out our full pivot table tutorial, which I've linked to below. And finally, if you'd like to grab a copy of the Excel file we use in this video so you can practice along with me, just click on the link in the description below. Okay, let's go to Excel and get started. Okay, so here we've got the names of some employees and we've got their sales numbers for January, February, and March. And at the moment, it's not actually formatted as a formal table in Excel. So I'll show you a couple of ways you can do that. The first way is just to click anywhere on the data and then go to the Home tab in the ribbon and click on the Format as Table button. And the first thing that happens is Excel gives you this big pop out and you can choose one of these color schemes. And just to let you know, the color scheme you choose here, you can change it later on. So you can just go ahead and choose whatever you like. Now, the next thing that happens is you get this Create Table pop out. And it's just asking you where is the data for your table, and you can see that it's had a guess that it's all of this data here between cell B2 and E14, which is correct. But if you do need to change it, you just click on this button and then you just go through and select it with your mouse. So for example, that, and then you can just click on the button again and then OK. So I'm actually going to select all of that data for the table. And then the last thing is there's a selector there for whether or not your table has headers. So I'll show you the difference between checking and unchecking that in a moment. So right now we can just click on OK. And there you can see that we've got a color scheme now. And we also have these drop-down boxes here, which are for filtering and sorting. And that's one way that we know that we've got our table. The other way to know is if you click on the table and you go up to the ribbon, you should now see this Table Design tab. Okay, I'm just going to Ctrl Z and undo that. And I'll show you the shortcut key to creating a table. So once again, just click anywhere on the data and press Ctrl T. And all I need to do here is just confirm the data selection and also that my table has headers and press OK. And there you can see that Excel has formatted everything as a table. And once again, we have these drop downs and we also have the Table Design tab in the ribbon. All right, I'll just undo that and I'll Ctrl T again. And this time I'll show you what happens when you uncheck My Table Has Headers and then click on OK. Now what's happened here is because we told Excel that none of the data are headers, it's added its own headers and just given it the names column 1, column 2, etc. with the drop downs. And it's taken every single row of information, including this one here with name, January, February, March, as data to be inside the table. So it hasn't recognized this as a header row because of the selection that we made. So if I Ctrl Z and then we Ctrl T again, and this time we do check My Table Has Headers. Now we've told Excel that that first row is our header row. So that's what it's used as the headers. Okay, so that's the difference between checking and unchecking that selection. Okay, so let's click back on the table. And now we'll go up to the Table Design tab and we'll have a look at a few things. The first thing I want to show you is that you can actually give your table its own name. So Excel will name the table for you and it's called this one Table 5, but you can give it your own name. So I could call this Sales Data, for example, just by typing it in there. And the reason you might want to give the table your own name is so that you can easily identify the table later on if you need to use it in some sort of chart or function or formula, etc. Okay, another thing that you can do is you can change the table style. So you can go to this drop down over here and then you can just mouse over and just have a look at all the different styles and see what you like. You can actually have no style at all, which is this one on the top left. But I like the one that Excel chose, so I'll just go back to that one. All right, another thing that you can do is you can remove duplicate entries. So at the moment in here, Alan Jones is actually in there twice. So you can see his name is there and it's the same sales numbers each month. So if you click on the table and then go up to the ribbon and click on remove duplicates, and then just select all of the columns that you want to evaluate. So I'm just going to leave them all checked and click OK. Excel found that duplicate value, which is the whole row, and removed it. So I'll just click on OK. And now that second instance of Alan Jones is gone. Okay, let's click back on the table and we'll go back up to table design and I'll just show you some of these other options. So in this little table style options panel, there's a few things you can do just by checking and unchecking these boxes. So the first one here is for the header row and you can toggle that on or off. The next one I want to show you is the filter buttons. So you can toggle those on or off as well. You've also got the ability to add bold to the first column, which is where I've got the names. And you can also do the last column. And at the moment, I've just got March's sales data in there. But if I had a total column in there, I could make it bold just by checking this box. So I'll just uncheck that. Another thing you can toggle on or off is the banded rows. So there you can see the color scheme for the rows changing as I toggle that on and off. I'll just turn it off for a second and show you that you can also do banded columns. So I've only got a couple of columns of data there, but if you had lots of columns, you might want to make them banded like this. So I'll just put the banded rows back because that makes more sense for this table. And the next thing I'll show you is actually how to add new columns and rows, which is really easy for a table. Now, if we come down to the bottom corner, you can see the very bottom right-hand corner of the last cell here just has a little bit of an icon in the corner there, and that's to indicate that that is the very last cell in the table. Now, if you hover over it with your mouse, it should change into these diagonal arrows, and from there you can left click on your mouse and drag it across to create another column. And you can see there that Excel has guessed that we want that column to be April, so it automatically filled in that header row up there. So then if I also just drag that down, drag it down again, you can see that we're adding new rows. And after we've done that, we can go ahead and actually type some data in there, and those rows will be included in the table. Now, the other way of doing it, if I just put all this back, is to just type something up here. So I could just type April, and you can see that Excel has created a whole new column there just by me typing APR for April up in F2. And I'll just Ctrl T and undo that. And the same thing goes for rows of data. So if I just put a new name in here, you can see that I just typed in a name and then Excel created a whole new row, and that little icon in the bottom corner of the last cell is now right down here in E14. So we can just go ahead and just type some data in here. And that's now included in the table. And if we wanted to do another one, you can see that's created a whole new row, and it's also put the blue banding in there. And now we have another new row of data in the table. Okay, so let's actually create a total column. So if we come over here and just type in total, Excel has gone and created the whole column for us. Now, if we want this to be the total of the 3 months worth of sales for each row, we can just put a sum function in here. So equals sum and open brackets. And then we can just left click and drag the mouse across here. And what you can see up in the formula bar is something a bit different to if you do a sum function outside of a table. And what all this means is that Jan is actually a named range, and so is Feb, and so is March. So this is how data and functions work inside of tables. And the reason that it does it like this, if I close the brackets and press enter, is that Excel can then automatically populate all of the sum functions down this entire column. And if I click on any of the cells through here, you can see that the formula and the function up in the formula bar is the same. So by using these named ranges, each instance of this formula knows to get data from the corresponding row over in those ranges. So it's just one way that tables make your life a bit easier by being dynamic. Okay, so that's a total column. And if we want to, we could come up to table design and just make the text bold in that last column. And another thing we can do is add a total row. So if we check the total row box, you can see down the bottom here that Excel has inserted a total for the total column. And if we click on the drop-down box, we can see that Excel is summing the numbers, but you can actually choose other things such as count and average. So if we just copy this across, I'll just Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And for this one, let's choose count. And now that's counted 13 numbers for March. And if I just Ctrl C and Ctrl V, paste that there. And for this one, we can choose average. And this time it's giving us the average of the numbers for Feb. So that's just to demonstrate that there's different things that you can do with the total row. It doesn't always have to be sum. And as you can see, there's also min and max in there. And there's standard deviations and variances. And if you click on more functions, you can go in and choose whatever function that you want in Excel. All right, so I'm going to put this as a sum, and we'll put this one as a sum as well. And then we'll copy that across so that they're all sums. And now we've got totals for our rows and our columns. Okay, let's have a look and see how you can sort and filter now. So one of the ways you can do it is by using the drop downs up here. So we could sort smallest to largest. And there you can see that all of the rows have been sorted based on the smallest number to the largest number in January. Or you can do largest to smallest. And you can do the same thing for the other months as well. So you can just choose what basis you want to do there. So that's one of the ways that you can sort. You can also filter. So you can click on the buttons and you can filter. So we've got number filters here. So let's just say that we want to pick greater than, and we want 50,000. So now we're only showing the salespeople who made more than $50,000 worth of sales in January. So we'll just clear that filter off. Okay, so you get a wide range of different ways that you can sort and filter. So we've got names here, so you've also got text filters. So if you wanted to go through and find certain kinds of names based on text, or you could come here and you could say that you only just want to see these two, and that's filtered it by my selection. All right, we'll just take that filter off as well. And I'll show you that you can also right click and you can get to the sort tools and the filtering tools in here as well. So I right clicked on January, so we could sort once again, January smallest to largest. Or if we right clicked on the names, then we'd get all sorts of options there to sort or filter by name. Another thing you can do to sort and filter is to add a slicer. So if I click back on the table and then go to table design, and then go to insert slicer. Now we've only really got one category here we can use, which is name. So I'll check on that. But if you had more data in your table, so for example, there might be some sort of area or division for each salesperson, you might have multiple criteria and you can insert multiple slices. But I'll just do this one. And what we get here is a box where we can choose how we want to actually filter this. So it's got all of the names in there of the salespeople. So if I just click on one name, you can see that's the only name that shows up. And I can click on another name and another name. So that's just doing it one at a time. So that's filtering the data by name. If I click on this button, we can do a multi-select. So I can just click on names to add them there. And I can also click on them again to remove them. And then if I want to remove the filter entirely, I can just click on this button here and all of the data comes back. To get rid of the slicer, you can just right click and cut. So that's how you can create a table in Excel. The next step is to learn how to use pivot tables. So make sure you click on the link that's about to come up on your screen to watch our step-by-step guide on how to use pivot tables in Excel. See you there.